This year, for the first time, we are including technology breakthrough presentations in the case study day. Each of these two presentations will be just 15 minutes, and instead of a Q&A, the recipients will have demos set up in the lobby during lunch so that you can take your questions directly to the machines. There will be no break between each of the 15-minute presentations. And the order has changed slightly because they're technical presentations. So the first technology breakthrough, this one on a limited budget, is Gantom torch technology. Please welcome from Gantom, Quan Gan.
Thank you so much, everyone. I'm extremely honored to be able to present to you guys the Gantom torch technology. And there's actually quite a bit to cover in these 15 minutes, so I'll try to go through it quickly. I just want to put everything into context by starting out with some company history and go over the actual product itself, how we developed it, give you a quick demo, and tell you guys what's in store for the future. So it actually all started with a haunted house. I'm a robotics engineer by trade. I grew up in California, and when I was in college, I volunteered at a haunted house. And let me tell you, scaring the crap out of people, that was one of the most fun things I've ever done in my life. It really sticks with you, and in the Halloween industry, they call that catching the bug. So when I moved to Shanghai for work after grad school, my girlfriend, she showed me the industrial market in Shanghai. Basically, when you're flipping through industrial catalogs of raw components, every page will be an entire street of vendors selling similar things for very low cost. And basically, it's a garage builder's dream come true. And I was like, if I don't capture that, that's a missed opportunity. So my girlfriend, being a designer, and myself, being an engineer, we decided to partner up and create a haunted house because this idea came back into my mind. Well, we obviously tried to do some market research. We looked at Hong Kong and Japan at the time. They had haunted houses, and they were actually pretty successful. So we thought the Asian audience might be receptive to this in Shanghai, being that Shanghai is the most westernized part of mainland China. People ask us, well, do they celebrate Halloween in China? And the answer is absolutely yes, but not for any historical or religious reasons, but purely just as a reason to spend money. So we're like, they already have bars that are themed for Halloween, well, why not build a haunted house? So long story short, we spent about a year to produce a show. We had to quit our corporate jobs, obviously, and we opened up, well, we found a 10,000 square foot old warehouse right next to the Suzhou Creek, which is in the center of Shanghai. And we opened our doors, and we called it the Shanghai Nightmare, 2009. And being that it's in China and English grammar kind of goes out the window, we even turned the word Halloween into a verb. That's Halloween. Why not? So we put in a bunch of cool special effects built from scratch. This was a mirror maze pumped full of fog and moving lasers that really trip people out. We built our own spinning tunnel, also very psychedelic, I guess. And we opened our doors hoping for lots of people to come in. And we calculated financially, we needed about 300 people a night on average just to break even. So we opened our doors and waited. And we waited 50 people a night, 100, 25 people. We were going to go bust. But then something interesting happened mid-October. A girl who came through, she wrote a blog article about the haunted house experience, and it became viral in a matter of a few days. And viral in China, you can connect the dots. So we blew up in the next couple of weeks to the point where we had up to 8-hour lines and about 1,300 people a night. And that was the first year of Shanghai Nightmare. And one of our favorite photos is this. Let me have that soak in a little bit for you. One happily scared customer. We actually made it onto the front page of Reddit, claim to fame. Okay. And being able to go through this harrowing experience, as boyfriend and girlfriend, we're like, well, I think we can get married. So she's now my wife, and we actually founded our second company together. Because while we were producing the show, we realized that lighting was one of the most important aspects of the show. It controls exactly what your customers see and don't see. And back then, the state of the art for lighting was either using off-the-shelf equipment like theatrical fixtures and repurposing them and dimming it way down, or you basically had to build your own. So we founded Darklight, and we became the manufacturer of LED fixtures that were specialized for these dark environments. And these products, they're pretty much no bigger than the size of a chicken egg. And if you think about it, a haunted house is really a walk-through theater. It's got all the elements of the theater minus the seats. So quickly, we started getting pulled into a lot of different industries and different applications. And many of these applications you might actually have been a part of in specifying our gear in there. You know, that people integrate it, they put it into all sorts of random places, museums, theme parks, vehicles, haunted houses, of course. And we started getting pulled into these different industries, and that's also at the point where we decided to rebrand the company into Gantom, which is a combination of my last name, but also rhymes with phantom to retain our Halloween beginnings, but it allows us to branch into other avenues beyond just lighting. And so at one of these trade shows, we came across a company called Blink FX, and they specialize in LED wearables for live events. Basically, they're using these large IR beacons on a stage and sending show data to people with wristbands that are controllable, and the wristbands will synchronize with the show so that the audience can feel like they're participating and being engaged. And so it kind of dawned on me that this is actually a perfect audience for the Halloween industry. Because in a Halloween haunted attraction, you have plenty of people waiting in line. Every haunted house, during October, there's a huge queue line outside. So you can entertain them in the same fashion as you would in the Blink FX original application. But beyond that, when you actually get into the haunted house, whatever you're wearing or taking with you, you can actually interact per room and get individualized room experiences. And so we started developing these tiny emitters to talk to the receivers. Now, we first tried it out as a wristband form factor, something similar to this, and we took audiences through, and they liked it. It was kind of cool. It was starting to move with the theme inside, but they didn't quite get it. Then we realized people didn't want wristbands. They wanted flashlights, because in a lot of haunted houses, they have these things called lights out tours. Basically, they turn off all the theatrical show lighting, and they give you a glow stick or a flashlight and have you walk through it and try to find your own way. But knowing that we have this kind of technology, we can take a big step beyond that and actually control the experience with exact precision. And so we did this first in Germany as an alpha test. We took Harbor Freight flashlights, ripped out the guts, and put our own core technology in there. And we tried it for one Halloween season. We got a lot of great feedback. People were really engaged. When you're giving them a flashlight that they think is just a normal looking flashlight, and something starts changing with it, they start banging on this and like, what's going on? They lose their sense of control. The surprise element was always on our side. But when you actually tie the technology into the theming of the show, it really got people more engaged. And also we learned that not to reveal all the tricks of the flashlight, of the torch at the same time, it kept people on edge, trying to see what else are they gonna not expect. And it really leads to the suspension of disbelief. So that ended up, with the learnings that we got from that first season, we developed the Gantom Torch version 1. Basically, it's in a ruggedized flashlight body that looks like something you can buy off of Amazon. Nothing really interesting or particular to this. First thing we do is actually remove the functionality out of the button. There's no more control for you. Right? We learned that people like to bang their flashlights around when it stops operating, so it obviously had to be aluminum. We made it so that it's rechargeable, so that it reduces system maintenance on the owner-operator side. And we also learned that for most flashlights, they're actually too bright for these dark attractions. They blow out the scene if you have them on full power. So we actually purposely chose dim LEDs so that they are a part of the scene instead of fighting against the scenery. But last but not least, we added a fourth dimensionality on this as a motor vibration. So this is now like a live video game. People are used to playing video games with rumble packs. Well, this is like a live video game where you can literally feel the thunder and lightning in your hands. And when it's tied to show control, it really creates a new type of interaction. And so just really quickly, I can show you this torch and a bunch of different accessories. They can all be controlled just using infrared. And actually, the range is quite far. We can go up to like 70 feet with something like this. And I'd be happy to demonstrate that later on. So after that was version 2. And people in this industry, I'm sure you've heard of escape rooms. It's kind of popping up left and right. And one of the most repeating elements in these escape rooms are hidden messages in the walls. Right? So people want to use UV. They give you a UV torch, sometimes, or a UV flashlight that you have to put together on your own as part of a puzzle so that you can reveal a hidden code. Well, our new version of the Gantom torch has a UV LED built inside to really integrate into some of those show controls. But also, what we find is in escape room applications, your customers are spending maybe 10 or 12 people in the same room for about up to 60 minutes long. Whereas a haunted house, in contrast, you have a group of people in a cattle line and spending maybe no more than 30 seconds per room. So we actually realized that you need multi-user experiences so people can have something that's more individual to them. So we added device IDs to the Gantom Torch version 2. And of course, not all escape rooms are as dark as haunted houses, so it makes sense that we actually increase this to the intensity of more of a normal-looking flashlight. But what I really wanted to emphasize today is that the Gantom torch is not a single product like this. It's actually a platform that allows us to do a lot beyond just controlling a flashlight. And at the core, it's really just a little module like this. It's very simple. It's IR-controlled light. I mean, this technology has been around for decades. You know, it's in your remote control, probably under your couch. Well, really, that's simple, but the key is how do you apply this technology to the application and the theming. And the reason why we chose IR is also the low-cost nature of it compared to RF. So we can actually get this integrated down to a little module that's no bigger than 10 millimeters by 10 millimeters. Okay? In the same fashion that I've controlled the torch, I can control this in all different colors. So what that really means is if I can get it down to something that small, we can integrate it virtually to any type of glow product that's out there. So for theme parks who are already selling a lot of these glow toys every night, well, one of their challenges is that they're fighting their audience when they want to bring this into a dark ride. Sometimes you may have to confiscate or have them store it in a locker. Well, instead of fighting it, now you can actually play with it and have some fun. You can actually turn it off right when you want to give them a moment of suspense, or you can actually change the color to allow the theme to tie into something that they're personalized with. And so beyond the Gantom torch technology, which is what we currently have, we're actually expanding into a whole new line of interactive communication. And the simple way to say it is we want to have bidirectional communication. Not only am I having a beacon talk to a receiver, now each of these receivers can act as a beacon on its own and talk to each other. So we recently just created something called Z-Tag. It's a live zombie infection game. And using the same base technology, same components, but it's an LED badge, and the blinking rate kind of shows that, okay, I'm actually human, heartbeat, but I could actually get infected when there's a zombie that comes across. So when the zombie here, let's see. There you go. So it gets hurt, and once this gets damaged to a certain extent, he becomes infectious. Okay? So now I'm dead, right? So we're going to be playing this game as a quick demo during lunch, and you guys can try to come over here and experience it. But what we find really interesting about this bidirectional communication is that we can actually use it as a way to gamify behavior. So in theme park settings, well, what happens when you get damaged? You're going to try to look for a health station to heal yourself, right? If you're really playing this game. Well, what if that health station is in a concession stand, right? So you guys can connect the dots and see how this can actually motivate or encourage certain types of behavior. And people get really into it when there's a game element tied to this. And again, it's all about the theming. It's not about the actual core technology on its own, because all it is, it's a dumb blinking light. But we're able to get people really, really engaged with something like this. And I want to say thank you very much.